Invincible Season 3 has been amazing, receiving some of the highest ratings for a cartoon episode ever. But a complaint everyone seems to agree on is the fact that the animation is absolutely cheeks.
Season 3 was a little weak on, spoiler alert, it's the animation.
I mean, there's fan edits of what it would look like with proper rendering, but I don't think that's the issue. And when you compare it to modern anime, can it really hold its own? The answer is yes. Kind of. Today I'm talking about the cartoon as a whole, but specifically Season 3, Episode 8. I mean, for obvious reasons, it was an absolute banger. Now, people tend to complain about the animation. I think it's kind of unreasonable, because the compositions, action shots, choreography, impact frames, I mean, they're all really good. Most people, when they make this complaint, mean to target the art style, which I guess can make sense. When you compare it to the fan edits that you see online of what the show could look like, it does look less high quality in the actual show. And the comic? Don't even get me started on the comic. Because the comic is actually an artistic masterclass in my opinion. And you know, we all know the old saying, comparison is the thief of joy. A fight that we're going to zoom into is of course Mark versus Conquest. I mean, this geezer's just pulled up to Earth. Bear in mind, the Viltrums are planning to turn the Earth into a quote-unquote Diddy breeding ground. I mean, it wasn't specifically said in the comics, but it's their intention, let's be real. In the first exchange between Mark and Conquest, we get some wonderful animation, showing how strong these boys are. I mean, a clean impact frame, the frame of their initial clash showing how much damage is being done. You know, all that shockwaves, the shockwaves happening. Does it compare to modern day anime? Like, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen with one of the most popular fights ever? Let me give you another example from this episode. Him after he gets hit by Conquest. I mean, he's flying across the screen, across the city, and he eventually lands and hits this truck that explodes. Yes, I'm giving an example that is the most anime-like. Like him flying across the city looks like a scene from Chainsaw Man. So we know that the animation in general is good enough to be classed as an anime, or at least it shows that it can be on par with the best of the best. When you compare it to the Sukuna vs Mahoraga fight, it's not on that level just yet, let's be real. But why not? And why do people complain? The main complaint that the general population has is the art style, and the sometimes still shots and the lack of expressions like facial expressions at times. I can understand the art style to an extent, just like look at this comparison, it shows when the budget is high, they can get better looking results back. I mean, a big complaint is the budget. I mean, only 2.75 million? The Rings of Power, which is another Prime series, had like a budget of 50 million per episode. However, let's compare this to anime, the Japanese sweatshops. Jujutsu Kaisen is said to have a budget of around about $150,000 per episode. Now, don't get me wrong, these animators at MAPPA are being put through the absolute trenches to get their work done. But if you compare the two, maybe the budget wasn't really the issue. In theory, for a 45-minute episode, it would only cost MAPPA $300,000 to maybe $400,000. But bear in mind, these are two different fields, anime and cartoon. The cartoon was mainly struggling due to time constraints and a lack of actual animators. I'm pretty sure I've heard that they only had like 10 or 20 animators per episode, like that's actually crazy. We can see that they were struggling due to time and budget constraints, and the finale proves it. This final episode was fucking amazing, and the fight animation when they had to pull it off was really, really good. So that brings me to my theory of animation. The animation can be trash, it can be bad. Maybe not trash, but it can be bad, as long as the story is really good. And it's kind of on the scale of like the more you fuck around, the more you find out. The show can have pretty average animation and still be widely loved due to its plot. And Invincible is a key example of it. So many people will complain, but so many, literally millions of people will watch and enjoy it, because the story and the writing is just that good. Now, don't think this applies for every single story though. I mean, there is a cut-off. An amazing story like Berserk can bring you back to earth when you realize the 2016 anime was shit. And it is still important to have bearable animation. Like, how can you mess up such an amazing story with kind of dookie ass animation? Now, we can't really complain about that animation in comparison to the Japanese anime studios, because as I've mentioned before, the low budget means that the animators are working with literally pennies. And if this was done in America, Big Jeff Bezos, the people at Prime, they'd be sitting in a court of law right now. They would need Harvey Specter to save them, man. Jesus. A good positive comparison I saw is that Invincible can pump out so much more content and so much more story in such a shorter time span. Let's compare to Chainsaw Man, alright? This is a bit of an extreme example, but let's go. In the time that we got 12 amazing Chainsaw Man episodes, you know, amazing animation, amazing fights, and obviously good story as well. Great story. Invincible has pumped out 25 episodes in this same time span. And bear in mind, they're 45 minutes long. So with some quick maths, call me Albert Einstein, 1,125 minutes of content compared to Chainsaw Man's 288. I mean, if you put that in a ratio, it's almost 4 times more content. And with a story like Invincible, it's literally perfect. Now, Season 2 of Invincible was like comically bad at some times. And whilst people still complain about the animation, it has been uphill with this third season. It's become so much better, and with seeing all the budget dumped into the last episode, the hype for season 4 is only going to get bigger and bigger. And there's a very very solid chance that we get much higher quality pending. Alright, I saw this animation on Twitter by a fan, or like by fans of Invincible, and I want to say it was super impressive and I had to show it. The real question is, like, would we really want to see animation like this consistently for future seasons? I mean, of course, I would love to see it like this. It does look amazing, but is it really realistic? And plus, the art style was more reflective of shows like Justice League, with their simple art style that gets contradicted by the very heavy gore. Like this one specific scene in episode 8, where Conquest pushes Mark's head through loads of innocent civilians. It's a danger, man. It's so gory, and it looks even more gory in comparison to the super simple animation style. Bear in mind, as a youth, I grew up watching shows like Ben 10. I'm talking like the OG bangers on Cartoon Network. So seeing Invincible styled like this does not annoy me in the slightest. I'm just enjoying this story with the tragic gore. It reflects the cartoon. I mean, the cartoon's rendering and final look is obviously stunning, and we can't really compare the two. And I mean, if it was animated like the cartoon, there would almost be like too much rendering. That level of rendering would be similar to some of the fan animations you can see online, and it could possibly damage the show and make it worse. Like, the main thing that needs to be improved is the empty backgrounds, the still shots, the PNG use or the PNG accusations, and emotions on faces. Like, we don't need extra highlights and shadows and stupidly excessive lighting for this show to be good. Let this analogy cook. It would be like making an amazing sauce for a dish, but the main dish itself is uncooked. The basics, like the smoother animation, should be at the forefront, not the rendering and the final bits of seasoning, should we say. Let's focus on the bread and butter of this cartoon, not the cherries on top. Now, Conquest and Mark was some of the cleanest animation of the season. And let's compare it. You know, for easiness, we'll do it with Chainsaw Man and the Sukuna and Mahoraga fight. Does it hold up? I mean, obviously story-wise, 1,000,000%. But animation-wise, that's the real question. You just have to imagine if every single episode had the time and budget that this episode had, and if they were given more time, maybe an extra year on this project, then we would be seeing an absolute masterclass. I mean, the animation in this episode is very fluid. Is it as fluid as Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen's? Definitely not, but it's a drastic improvement compared to the PNG epidemic we've seen in previous episodes. Gore-wise, I mean, Chainsaw Man is probably more dramatic, but also more like far-fetched and out there. But the Invincible animators, they know when to show bones and blood in a way that just feels more realistic. And obviously the show is just so enjoyable as a viewer, you don't actually care about the art style, unless you're like one of them nitpicky fans on Reddit or something, or Twitter. Our boy Oliver really thought he was going to do all that. I've seen clips of Invincible literally everywhere, and it seemed to reach more than just the fans of the comics. Literally everyone's talking about it. And why? Because it's saucy, because the story's cooking. Invincible's morally grey style of storytelling is one of the main reasons why I like it so much, and it's reflective of many modern anime that I watch as well. I mean, obviously this show can hold up with modern anime. I mean, even though the budget's bad, even though we see PNG Invincible, even though the animation and some episodes have their lows, the highs of Invincible, the best parts of the story, they're unforgettable. And you can see with a decent budget and a long enough time frame, the series gets the reviews it deserves. Will season 4 be even better? I mean, story-wise, obviously, it's only up from here. But let's pray that this animation clutches up next time. Drop in the comments what else I should cover about Invincible. What characters, you know, for example, Dinosaurus, I could analyze or make video essays on, so just let me know. This is an introduction to Invincible on this channel. And if there's other comics, cartoons, mediums, you know, books you want me to cover, the comments is where you need to let me know. In the meantime, though, you should definitely watch me cover some of the best fights in Hunter x Hunter. And on the right, you can see some of the best jumpings in all of anime. It's like the red or the blue pill. Which one are you going to choose? Love, love, love. Subscribe!
Might as well give up. I'm